The price of silence. When the message arrived, Captain James Morrison was drinking coffee in his quarters aboard the research station Aurora when the universe changed forever. The coffee was terrible, synthesized from molecules that had never seen a real coffee bean. But after 20 years in deep space, he had learned to pretend it tasted like home. The alarm started quietly. A soft beep that meant incoming transmission. James put down his cup and activated the screen on his wall. What appeared there made his blood freeze. The face staring back at him was not human. It belonged to a creature called a Krenthor, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Their civilization had existed for 50,000 years. They had technology that could reshape planets. They had knowledge that made human science look like children playing with blocks, and they were declaring war. Human species, the Krenthor commander said. His voice was translated by computers, but the contempt came through clearly. You have existed in our galaxy for 5,000 years. You have been tolerated. You have been allowed to survive. This ends now. James felt his heart hammering. Earth had joined the Galactic Union 5,000 years ago. Since then, humanity had been careful. They traded fairly. They kept to their own systems. They never made trouble. The older species looked at them the way adults look at young children, with patience and occasional amusement. The Krenthor Empire has decided that your species possesses resources we require, the commander continued. Your worlds contain minerals we need. Your genetic diversity offers biological materials we can use. You have 72 hours to evacuate your home systems. After that, we will take what belongs to us. The message ended. James sat in silence, staring at the blank screen. Around him, he could hear other crew members starting to panic. People were running in the corridors. Someone was crying. Someone else was shouting about calling Earth Command. James did none of these things. Instead, he smiled. The hidden truth on Earth, in a building that did not appear on any map, President Maria Santos received the same message. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She had been president for 30 years, chosen specifically because she understood secrets. They finally did it, she said quietly. After all this time, someone finally challenged us. Her chief of staff looked confused. Madam President, shouldn't we be evacuating? The Krenthor have weapons that can burn continents. Their fleet has 10 million ships. We have maybe 1,000 vessels in our entire space force. Maria smiled. It was the same smile that Captain Morrison had worn. The smile of someone who knows something nobody else does. Get me General Chen, she said. Tell him to activate Protocol Nightfall. The chief of staff went pale. Protocol Nightfall? But that's been theoretical for thousands of years. It doesn't actually exist, does it? Oh, it exists, Maria said. We've just been waiting for someone to give us a reason to use it. Deep beneath the mountains of Tibet, General Robert Chen received the president's message. He was an old man now, but his mind was sharp as ever. His family had been guardians of humanity's greatest secret for 200 generations. Begin activation sequence, he said calmly. Around him, lights began to turn on. Computers that had been sleeping for millennia woke up. Doors that had been sealed for 5,000 years started to open. And in chambers that stretched for hundreds of miles beneath the Earth's surface, something enormous began to stir. How long until the fleet is operational? Chen asked. 70 hours, his assistant replied. Just under their deadline. Chen nodded. Good. Let them think they've won. Let them come close. Then we show them what humanity really is. The galaxy watches across the galaxy. Other species received news of the Krenthor declaration. The response was mostly silence. The Krenthor were too powerful to challenge. If they wanted human space, they would take it. That was how the galaxy worked. The strong survived. The weak disappeared, but a few species remembered something about humans. Something strange they had noticed over thousands of years but never quite understood. Ambassador Vexthar of the Silrani Confederation sat in his office, reviewing old reports. The Silrani were traders who dealt with every species in the galaxy. They kept records of everything, and their records on humanity were odd. Unusual manufacturing signatures detected in human space, one report read. Origin unknown. Purpose unclear. Strange energy readings from human mining operations, said another. Do not match any known industrial processes. Human population expansion slower than predicted, noted a third. Where are the missing billions? Dexthar had always assumed these were just clerical errors. Now he wondered. He pulled up the most recent census data for human space. According to Galactic Union records, humanity had roughly 50 billion people spread across 40 systems, but when he cross-referenced that with food production, resource consumption, and industrial output, the numbers didn't match. The humans were consuming resources for at least 500 billion people. Maybe more. Where were they all? What were they doing? Dexthar sent a private message to the Galactic Union Council. I believe humanity may have hidden capabilities. Recommend caution before assuming Krenthor victory. The message was ignored. Everyone knew humans were harmless. The evacuation that never happened as the 72-hour deadline approached. The Krenthor expected to see human ships fleeing their home systems. They expected panic, chaos, desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, they saw nothing. Human ships stayed exactly where they were. Human planets continued their normal operations. It was as if the entire species had decided to simply ignore the threat. They are fools, the Krenthor commander said. They think we are bluffing. They will learn. The Krenthor fleet entered human space exactly on schedule. 10 million warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. They had conquered 40 species with this fleet. They had never lost a battle. They had never even been challenged. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system, Earth's home. Their sensors immediately began scanning for human defensive positions. What they found confused them. There were no human military vessels. No defensive platforms. No weapons of any kind. Just the normal traffic of a peaceful civilization going about its business. Scan deeper, the commander ordered. They must be hiding something. His sensors operator worked frantically. Commander, I'm detecting massive power signatures. They're coming from beneath the planet's surface. From the moon. From Mars. From the asteroid belt. They're everywhere. What kind of power signatures? Unknown, Commander. I've never seen anything like this. The energy output it's impossible. Nothing should produce this much power. The commander felt something he had not felt in his long military career. He felt doubt. Prepare for, he began. He never finished the sentence. What humanity had been building when humanity first reached the stars 5,000 years ago. They found a galaxy full of ancient species. Species that had forgotten how to fight because they had become so powerful that no one dared challenge them. The human leaders had looked at this situation and understood something important. Someday, someone would decide that humanity was weak enough to attack. Someday, the peace would end. So they prepared. For 5,000 years, while showing the galaxy a peaceful face, humanity had been building. Not on their planet's surfaces where satellites could see. Not in space where sensors could detect. Deep underground. Inside asteroids. In hidden facilities scattered across 100 systems, they built ships. Weapons. Technologies that the rest of the galaxy didn't know were possible. They took the best minds of every generation and put them to work on a single question: how do we win a war against an enemy with 50,000 years more experience than us? The answer they found was terrifying. Now, as the Krenthor fleet entered Sol system, humanity unveiled what they had created. The first ship emerged from beneath Earth's surface, rising through rock and soil as if they weren't even there. It was black, so black that light seemed to die when it touched the hull. It was shaped like nothing the galaxy had ever seen, all angles and edges designed by computers that had run trillions of combat simulations. Then another ship appeared. And another. And another. Within minutes, 1 million human warships surrounded the Krenthor fleet. Each one was smaller than the Krenthor vessels, but something about them felt wrong. They moved in perfect synchronization. They didn't maneuver like normal ships. They simply appeared where they wanted to be, as if distance was a suggestion rather than a rule. Captain Morrison watched from the Aurora research station. His crew had gathered around the viewing screens, watching the scene unfold in Sol system. "Is this real?" someone whispered. "Where did all those ships come from?" "They've always been there," James said. "We just never talked about them." On the lead Krenthor vessel, the commander stared at his screens in disbelief. "This is impossible. No species can hide a fleet this large. Our sensors would have detected them." "Perhaps," a voice said in his language, "you weren't looking for the right things." A human face appeared on his screen. It was General Chen, speaking from his command center beneath Earth. "I am General Robert Chen of the Human Defense Force. You have entered our space with hostile intent. You have threatened our worlds. You have made a terrible mistake." The Krenthor commander tried to compose himself. "You are outnumbered 10 to 1. Surrender now and we will allow some of your people to survive as servants." Chen smiled. It was not a nice smile. "You're not outnumbered 10 to 1, he said quietly. "You're outnumbered 1 to 10. You just don't know it yet." And then humanity attacked, the universe remembers. The battle that changed everything. The Krenthor had fought wars for 50,000 years. They had developed tactics that had never failed. They had weapons that could crack planets. They had shields that could withstand the heart of a star. None of it mattered. Human weapons didn't work like anything the galaxy had ever seen. They didn't fire beams or missiles. They fired something worse. The first weapon was called a phase disruptor. When it hit a Krenthor ship, the vessel simply stopped being in the same dimension as everything else. It didn't explode. It didn't burn. It just vanished, sliding into a reality where physics worked differently. The Krenthor shields, designed to stop every known form of energy, did absolutely nothing. You can't shield against something that ignores the concept of shields entirely. The second weapon was even worse. Humanity called it a time anchor. When it locked onto a target, it froze that target in time. Not slowed down. Frozen. The ship would hang in space like a photograph, unable to move, unable to fire, unable to exist in any meaningful way. The crews inside experienced nothing. For them, no time passed at all. But for everyone watching, the ship became a monument to human ingenuity. The third weapon was the cruelest. It was called a consciousness mirror. It didn't harm ships at all. It simply showed every crew member every terrible thing they had ever done. Every person they had hurt. Every species they had destroyed. Every act of cruelty in their long history. It forced them to feel all of it at once. Most Krenthor commanders simply surrendered after experiencing the mirror. Some went mad. A few took their own lives rather than face what they had become. The battle lasted 6 hours. At the end of those 6 hours, the Krenthor fleet no longer existed as a fighting force. Half their ships were gone, phased into other dimensions. A quarter were frozen in time. The rest had surrendered. Not a single human ship had been lost. The message to the galaxy. General Chen appeared on every screen in the galaxy. His face was calm, but there was steel in his eyes. For 5,000 years, he began, humanity has been peaceful. We have traded fairly. We have kept to ourselves. We have asked nothing from the galaxy except to be left alone. Many of you assumed this meant we were weak. You were wrong. He gestured to the frozen Krenthor ships visible behind him. The Krenthor Empire declared war on humanity. They gave us 72 hours to evacuate our worlds. We gave them 6 hours to surrender. This is what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. The screen changed to show human shipyards, massive facilities that had been hidden for millennia. We have been preparing for this day since we first left Earth. We knew that eventually, someone would test us. Someone would assume that because we chose peace, we couldn't fight. The Krenthor paid the price for that assumption. Chen's expression hardened. Let me be absolutely clear. Humanity does not want war. We do not seek conquest. We do not wish to dominate anyone. But we will defend ourselves with every weapon we possess. And we possess weapons that your scientists have never imagined. He leaned forward. We are offering the Krenthor people a chance to rebuild. We will release their frozen ships. We will help them recover. But their empire is finished. Their military is dissolved. They will never threaten anyone again. The screen showed more human ships, thousands of them, maybe millions. This is not a threat. This is a fact. Humanity has chosen peace for 5,000 years. We can choose peace for 5,000 more. But only if we are allowed to live in peace. Attack us, and you will face the same fate as the Krenthor. Leave us alone, and we will leave you alone. Chen's face softened slightly. We hope the galaxy learns from this. We hope this is the last war we ever have to fight. We hope that someday, all species can truly live in peace. But that peace must be based on mutual respect, not on anyone's assumption that someone else is too weak to defend themselves. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings sat in stunned silence. The New Order. In the days that followed, the political structure of the galaxy shifted completely. The Krenthor, once feared by everyone, became a cautionary tale. Their frozen ships were left in orbit around their home world as a reminder. Other aggressive species suddenly became very interested in peaceful diplomacy. Trade routes that had been closed to humans opened up. Species that had looked down on humanity started offering partnership agreements. Ambassador Vexthar of the Silrani met with the human diplomatic corps. I want to apologize, he said. We have treated you poorly for millennia. We assumed you were primitive because you were young. We were wrong. The human ambassador, a woman named Sarah Kim, smiled. We don't need apologies. We need partners. We need species who understand that peace isn't about being weak. It's about being strong enough not to use your strength unless absolutely necessary. What will happen now? Vexthar asked. Will humanity reshape the galaxy? Will you impose your will on the rest of us? No, Sarah said firmly. We're going to do exactly what we've always done. We're going to trade fairly, cooperate peacefully, and keep to ourselves. The only difference is that now, everyone knows why we've been able to maintain that peace. She looked at him seriously. We revealed our capabilities because we had to. But we hope we never have to use them again. We hope the galaxy has learned that assuming someone is weak just because they're peaceful is a mistake. A very expensive mistake. 50 years later. Captain James Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, stood on the bridge of the flagship Humanity's Promise. He was old now, his hair white, his face lined with age. But his eyes were still sharp. The Krenthor ambassador was visiting. The species had rebuilt over the decades, but they were different now. Humbler. More thoughtful. They had learned what humanity tried to teach them, that power without wisdom is just cruelty waiting to happen. Admiral, the ambassador said, I wanted to thank you personally. When your species defeated us, you could have destroyed us completely. Instead, you helped us rebuild. You showed us mercy we never showed to others. Why? Morrison smiled. Because that's who we are. We fight when we must. We defend what we love. But we don't destroy for the sake of destroying. We hope that by showing you mercy, you'll show mercy to others. We hope that by breaking the cycle of violence with you, we started something better. You did, the ambassador said. The Krenthor are different now. We teach our children about the day humanity reminded us that strength comes in many forms. We remember our frozen ships, not with shame, but with gratitude. You could have killed us. You chose to teach us instead. Morrison nodded. That was always the plan. We built weapons that could destroy anyone. But we also built weapons that could teach. The consciousness mirror doesn't just show you your crimes. It shows you the possibility of being better. That's the real weapon. Not force. Understanding. The ambassador bowed. The galaxy is safer because of humanity. Not because you're powerful, but because you know when not to use that power. Morrison looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships still patrolled. Hidden facilities still churned out advanced weapons. But they were quiet, unobtrusive, waiting. Waiting for the day they might be needed again. Hoping that day never came. We chose silence for 5,000 years, Morrison said quietly. We'll choose it for 5,000 more if we can. But we'll never be helpless again. We'll never let anyone mistake our kindness for weakness. He turned back to the ambassador. Tell your people this, humanity's door is always open to those who come in peace. But those who come in war will find something they never expected. They'll find 5,000 years of preparation. They'll find patience that looks like weakness until it strikes. They'll find the quiet neighbors have teeth. The ambassador nodded. That is exactly what we teach now. That is exactly what the galaxy has learned. And across the stars, in a million different systems, beings of every species looked at humanity with new understanding. The quiet neighbors. The peaceful traders. The species that had chosen to hide their strength for millennia. They would never be underestimated again.